I wasn't invited to the will reading, not that I expected to be. I knew how they saw me, the quiet disappointment of the family, the one who walked away. But when the letter arrived, sealed in my mother's handwriting, something inside me stilled. The last words she'd ever written to me were simple: "You'll understand soon. Love, Mom." And I did. They showed up 2 weeks later, my brother, his wife, and the lawyer they thought would intimidate me. Their smiles were polite, rehearsed, the kind you wear before a storm. "You owe your family a share," my brother said, arms folded like he'd already won. My lawyer didn't even blink. He adjusted his glasses, turned a page, and said just one line: "Not anymore." Then he looked at me. "Ready?" I nodded, and that was when it began. It started years ago, long before the will, before my mother's illness, before the silence. Back when I still believed my brother and I were a team. He was the golden son, charming, decisive, always in control. I handled the quiet work, paperwork, property management, taking care of Mom when he was too busy. He used to tell me, "You're the backbone of this family, Lily." I believed him, until I found the first signature that wasn't mine. A property transfer, my name replaced with his. A fake witness, my mother's shaky signature. I didn't confront him then, I just watched. Every visit, every call, every carefully worded question. He thought he was clever, moving pieces behind my back, selling land, moving funds, draining accounts. But he forgot one thing. I was the one who kept the records. I saw the numbers, the patterns, the lies. So I stopped being the backbone. I became the hand that pulls the plug. The night I decided to end it was the night my mother whispered to me, "He's changing things, Lily. Protect what's left." She knew. She'd always known. After she passed, I spent months in silence, not mourning, planning. My brother assumed grief had made me weak. It made me patient. He didn't know I'd switched attorneys. He didn't know I'd been recording every transaction for a year. He didn't know Mom had quietly rewritten her will 2 weeks before she died, leaving everything to me. Not out of favoritism, but because she saw what he'd done. She called it a correction. The plan wasn't loud, it was methodical. First, I traced every stolen asset and linked it back to him through shell accounts he thought were invisible. I hired a forensic accountant, the same one he'd fired from his firm years ago. The man still owed him a grudge. Then I made a quiet visit to the family lawyer, the one handling the estate. I didn't tell him everything, just enough to make him nervous. "Some discrepancies," I said, "might be worth revisiting the trust." By the time the official reading was scheduled, half of my brother's holdings were frozen for audit. Still, I didn't go. I wanted them to wonder why, to feel the silence before the storm. And when they came to my door with demands and fake civility, that was my moment. We sat across from each other at my dining table, the same one we grew up around. He leaned back in his chair, smirking like always. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Lily," he said. "We'll divide it fairly. Mom would have wanted that." My lawyer slid the document across the table. My mother's last will and testament, dated 3 weeks before her death. Witnessed, verified, everything. To me. My brother's smirk faltered. "That's impossible," he said. "No," I said, quietly. "It's correction." He laughed, the kind of brittle laugh that cracks under its own weight. "You forged this." My lawyer spoke before I could. "Your mother submitted it herself. And, given the fraud investigations pending against you," he smiled thinly, "you might want to call your accountant before you call us thieves." His face went white. He stood up, tried to shout, but his wife was already checking her phone. Seeing the accounts frozen, the transactions flagged, the world he'd built slipping through his fingers. I didn't say another word. I just watched him unravel. By the next morning, the family name he'd guarded like armor was everywhere. Fraud, embezzlement, misuse of estate funds. His firm suspended him. His friends stopped calling. His wife filed for divorce 2 months later. And me? I stayed quiet. Sold the old house. Donated part of the inheritance to a hospice in Mom's name. The rest, I kept. Not out of greed, but memory. Every dollar, a scar stitched into something stronger. Sometimes I still hear her voice in the back of my mind. You'll understand soon. And I do. This wasn't about money. It was about balance. About the moment when silence becomes justice, and trust becomes a weapon in the right hands. When people ask what happened between me and my brother, I smile and say, he found out who took his place. Then I fold the letter from Mom one last time, slip it back into its envelope, and whisper, we're leaving it all to Lily.